It's your time to live well, and you have tuned into the Holistically Speaking podcast, where we're teaching you to be well and be whole in your body, your joy factor, in every season and pivot of your life, in your mental health and your well-being. Are you ready for this episode? Excellent. Tune in. You won't be disappointed. Yes, and the crowd goes wild. Hello, everybody. Hello, it is your well woman practitioner, LaShanna Moore of Holistically Well, and this is a podcast episode, Holistically Speaking. I have my audio and my Well Life TV audience with me today. So we are broadcasting from both. Welcome on both ends to both of you. And if you're watching, you notice that I don't have on glasses. Well, I'm going to attempt to do this episode today without glasses, but if I need them, I will most definitely grab my handy specs and put them on. Listen, I welcome each and every one of you today in life, in love, and in joy. You know, our mission is always to make sure that you are well and whole. And we have a very special episode today. It is not a first-time conversation for us, and I am pretty sure that it will not be the last conversation for us. Unfortunately, it is a conversation that we are constantly trying to put pressure on our community and our government and our nation to bring some action into play. We're talking about none other than the Black maternal mortality here in our country, being the United States of America. And of course, those of you who are in this country definitely are aware of the news that we've heard this week. Actually, an update from a devastating story that occurred in May with Olympic champion Tori Bowie, who we're going to be talking about, and not only her story, but definitely adding it to our conversation. And this conversation is a partnership piece with my film, Black Boddess, because this is the kind of work that we do. And I know a lot of you always say, LaShanna, you're doing a whole lot. It seems that way, but if you really look at the work, all of the work overlaps, and it is very intricate, and it is very carefully woven under one mission, and that is being well and being whole in every area of life. So whether it's performing arts, whether it's health and wellness, whether it is this film bringing wellness into the cinematic space, whether it is working, mentoring girls, or whether it is working with our girls who are in the fight to exit human trafficking, it is all on a mission to be well and be whole. And I'm very thankful for being called to do this work. And so mentioning that, you can always look and see, view the website to see more of what I'm doing, and also to see how you can join in volunteering and training, and all types of opportunities are always welcomed, and I appreciate it. So I've got two different screens that I'm going to be looking at today so that I can provide you accurate information. And if you are watching live, then you'll be able to also join me in the comment section. Hello to each one of you. And as we get into this talk, I kind of had to pick myself up emotionally and mentally, because it's not one of those conversations that we have that brings us a lot of joy. It brings us sorrow. It calls us to a time of grief, and rightfully so within our human nature. It also calls us to a time of anger and frustration, because we are seeing these stories happen more than we care to. Some of you may have personal stories and testaments of this, and not only Black maternal mortality with moms, with babies and moms, with babies or moms, but with babies and moms. So listen, as we get into this conversation, we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to do our WEtreat moment. If those of you who are following and listening for the first time, this is our opportunity to take a deep breath and to relax our bodies. It may have been the first time today that you've taken a moment to just stop, relax, and breathe. And then also, because this is a heavy topic, it is a topic that is going to evoke emotion. And then hopefully not just for those of us who are Black and brown and in this community, but anybody, any human being that has a heart, has compassion, and has empathy. So we're going to take a moment, and what we do basically is just allow ourselves deep breaths, inhaling deep through our nose, exhaling through our mouth, and we're going to just allow the breath of God to breathe through us and be reminded of the hope and the strength that we have. And we're going to lean on that because we need it. So let's do this. Inner peace. That's what that song, that loop is saying. Feel, please let me feel inner peace. I think that is a heart cry, a spirit cry for all of us, is for us to have that inner peace that we so desire and that we deserve. We deserve that. As we get into this, I really don't think I have to share this with you, particularly for this episode, but I am. This is our disclaimer. Information shared on these episodes are the beliefs and opinions of the host. Health topics are not designed to treat, cure, where was I? Because I was multitasking. Health topics are not designed to treat or cure medical issues. Please consult your physician. Our spiritual episodes are from the foundation of our Christian faith. And I just always want to make sure that I offer that disclaimer so that even as you check out other episodes that I have, that you know that that is the premise of these episodes. All right, so we're going to have this discussion. We're going to talk about this beautiful young lady. I want to pull up the report so that we can have a backstory on her, just in case you are not familiar with her. She's a 3-time Olympic medalist in track and field, and we received news of her tragic death. She was only 32 years old, and she was found dead at her Florida home last month, the month of May 2023, during a well-being check. You know that you can call emergency if you are concerned about someone who you have not heard from, or maybe you've gone to their house and they've not answered and no one knows where they are. You can always call emergency and have a well check done, a well-being check, a wellness check done. So it was conducted by the Orange County Sheriff's deputies after she hadn't been heard from in days, which that concerns me. But that could be a different segue, and we won't focus on that. So the Orange County Medical Examiner's Office did conduct an autopsy, and it indicated that she was 8 months pregnant and alone at home. She was actively undergoing labor at the time of her death. The report cited possible complications, including respiratory distress and eclampsia, which is a rare high blood pressure that can cause seizures. Rare high blood pressure it may be, but one thing that I have observed is that it is very common with Black women, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Her unborn child did not survive. According to her agent, the track star was not actively performing a home birth when her baby started to arrive. Holland said, "I can only imagine now how that must have been. I can't imagine it. Painful. It hurts also to know that there is no baby. So neither mother or child survived this horrific tragedy." I don't know a lot of the, I don't know anything regarding the backstory of the partner, the father of the unborn child. But it brings to light, as if the light ever dimmed or was turned off, because this is a constant issue and challenge here. It brings to light, I'll say it anyway, the consistent issues that we're having. We see a lot of celebrities Black celebrities who are sharing their story, who are letting us know that they too have experienced maternal concerns and frightening moments and scary pregnancies. And here's the thing about it: when you set off to this beautiful journey of conception that leads into pregnancy, maturing of this fetus, ultimately the labor that leads to delivery, so that you can nurse and nurture this wonderful being of love that comes from two people, you never want to think about this being the final chapter of your life or your baby's life. And for those of you, my heart goes out to each and every one. I'd also like to preface this episode with that my heart goes out to each and every one of you who have very significant stories, whether it was a challenge with fertility, a challenge getting pregnant, you've experienced miscarriages, or for whatever reasons of your own, you have had to have an abortion or multiple abortions. Whatever your journey, whatever your story, whatever your challenge has been, my heart goes out to each woman where a child and pregnancy has been involved, because this is never the desire or the end result that we even see or forecast. And so if you are pregnant and you are watching this, I do want to say that to protect your heart and protect your spirit, protect your mind, because I do not want a spirit of fear to overtake you and to put a dark cloud on your journey. You have the right to joy. You have the right to laugh. You have the right to indulge in every moment of this journey. It is so important that you monitor and manage and safeguard your mental health. It is so important that you have a village around you that's checking in on you, that's taking care of you, that's loving you and supporting you. It is so important that you have healthy relationships with your medical team. It is so important. And I'm moving ahead of myself because I'm giving some notes now. But while we're in this natural flow, I'm going to continue with this. It is so important that you have your maternity plan, you have your emergency plan, and you have given those plans to whoever you have assigned as your advocates, as your second voice. It is so important that you have walked through every facet, whether you are doing home labor or whether you are doing traditional labor and delivery. It is so important that you have all of these things in place. It requires, I believe, it is now my belief, more than before all of these cases and before this tragedy really came into the spotlight. Now more than before those occurrences, I believe that this is a village experience. Sure, one person, even if through surrogacy, I forgot to add that to the list. Even if it is, even though it is one person, a woman carrying child, this is a village journey, honey. And so if pregnancy is something that you are considering, if it is a thought of yours, or if you are currently pregnant, take into account that this is a village journey for you. You want a village, you want a tribe. Ask people, ask trusting, dependable, responsible, loving, compassionate, and might I add, praying people to be a part of your village. As you already know, you go through a lot of anatomical, psychological, physiological, physical changes. So you need the support of a village who is able to walk with you, someone who's able to go to your doctor's appointments with you, letting others know that you have doctor's appointments. And for those of us who are a part of the support system, that we follow up and that we ask questions, that we learn who their doctors and their nurses are, and what's the plan of action and the second plan of action, and what hospital are you planning to give birth. And if that doesn't work, because I've already heard the stories of mothers sharing how they had to switch gears last minute, doctors not being ready, or had to be transported or taken to another facility that was not in the original plan. So you need plans A and plans B, plans A and B, should I say, when it comes to this. Let me share some more information with you. And I am going to end, I have to end with inspiration and a note of hope, as well as our call to actions, because we have to have those calls to action. All right. Some more information says that because Black women are also at a higher risk for pregnancy related complications, like, and these are those that I wanted to also discuss briefly with you, they are preterm labor, preeclampsia, and hypertensive disorders. There needs to be more of an emphasis on the care of Black mothers during their pregnancy. Performance of racial and ethnic minority serving hospitals also need to be evaluated, and regarding delivery related indicators. So I think it's very important that there are several target times that a pregnant mother needs to be checked in on. Of course, it is at the beginning of her discovering that she is pregnant. Number two, it is during her pregnancy. And number three, it is after the pregnancy. We've heard cases from mothers who are still here with us, thank God, as well as stories of those who did not survive post-delivery, that days following or hours following delivering their angel, that they weren't feeling like themselves, that something wasn't right. They weren't feeling right in their body. And here is one of the red flags that alerts us to having urgency and listening to that mother's voice and trusting that she knows her body. And also, not that just she knows her body, because this is a new body too that she has to learn, but also being familiar with what her medical history is and the history of her family. What is hereditary, and the women in her family. It's important to know all of those things, because we really have to keep a watch after the baby has been born on how the mother is feeling, taking her temperature. Is she sweating more than usual? Checking her blood pressure and things like that. I am noticing the hypertension, the gestational diabetes, the eclampsia, preeclampsia, hypertensive disorders are very common. And I'm also noticing that Black women and men as well are very prone to thrombosis and a lot of blood clotting. And so, because just my mind is alert to those things being very common with Black women, and I'm sure certain stats of brown women as well. I have not looked them up, but I think it is worth looking into them, because we know that these are issues that we deal with. I think most definitely those are concerns that you want to lift with your doctor. Number one, when you are considering pregnancy, you want to know what you are prone to, or the likelihood of what you are prone to. So I want to talk a little bit more about preeclampsia and eclampsia. Because here's something that we can do and our village can do. If we are aware, we can get information and create plans of action. Because a lot of times we don't discover things until we are already pregnant, until you have already had an ultrasound. And if there is anything that you have a concern about before getting pregnant, I will confirm, I will encourage you and challenge you with all fervor and urgency to look into it. Anything that can cause your pregnancy to be less complicated and more filled with joy and peace, and just experiencing the natural drama that comes with being pregnant, that's what you want. So let's look a little deeper into preeclampsia and eclampsia. Look at me without my glasses as I get ready to put them on. Spoke too quick. Preeclampsia and eclampsia are pregnancy-related high blood pressure disorders. In preeclampsia, the mother's high blood pressure reduces the blood supply to the fetus, which may get less oxygen and fewer nutrients. Eclampsia is when pregnant women with preeclampsia develop seizures or coma. I had to take a pause on that. This is something that I'm seeing very common. We're hearing this a lot. I want to pull up the slide um, now of two women who have spoken out, as we are aware, from former First Lady, always First Lady Michelle Obama, to our VP Kamala Harris, Serena Williams, Beyonce. These two women particularly have spoken about their experiences with stress and implicit bias during their pregnancy. And listen, if it can happen to them, who we do consider to be women of influence, then by for sure and by certain, the everyday Black woman definitely needs to be on alert and understanding it. I want to say not with fear, but definitely with vigilance and caution. And excuse me. So Serena and Beyonce both called attention to their serious health concerns during their pregnancy. Beyonce had preeclampsia that required emergency cesarean. Serena has a history of blood clots. Here we go. And she also ended up undergoing C-section. A day after giving birth, she developed blood clots in her lungs. And if we don't have a team of people who are willing to listen to us, from the medical to the village, who are not willing to listen, then it throws a woman in an extreme emergency and critical care type of situation. So again, I want to I'm not beating the horse, because the horse, oh God, that reference. Maybe I shouldn't even say beat the horse. I want to drive this home repeatedly. Let me say that, because it bears repetition. And we repeat things on purpose because they are a message that need to be heard. So it is important. We continue this fight. You go to the next thing. We continue this fight of equality, medical equity, medical equality, ending medical apartheid, medical disparity with Black women and Black and brown women, I will even include. But we continue this fight while we already know that, as trifling as it may be in this country, this is a major, major issue. It is imperative that we gird ourselves and equip ourselves. My husband and I, we are very comfortable and content in our lives. We do not have children, but we have definitely had the conversation. If it happens, what is the plan? What are our thoughts about it? What is our belief system? And many of our men, as I did with my husband as well, many of our men need to be educated and the attention brought to what is happening in this country, particularly with Black women and the whole maternal mortality issue. It is a very sad thing that we have to have these types of conversations. But at this point, in this juncture in life, in society, and in social justice, or the fight for social justice, we are already aware that we have some normals that others don't have. There are conversations that we have to have with one another, with our children, with our peers, with our sisters and brothers, that others don't. And this is a major part of that. And so we've had the conversation as to whether, if we do have a child, what is the plan of action? And even if we want to consider the United States. And that definitely took him aback, because he never thought he would have to consider an alternative. We were born here. Our mothers shared with us, their our birth stories, shared with us our both birth stories, blah, 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 blah. And it really is a cause of concern, unfortunately, and it causes us to have really honest, hard, raw, real conversations. I want to talk about, share with you some information about thrombosis, because that was one of the issues I talked about, aka blood clotting. And let me go up here. Black women have an increased risk of adverse pregnancy outcomes, and the characteristics of thrombotic risk factors in this population, they are unknown. The objective of this study, because this is a study that I was reading, was to examine the racial differences in thrombotic risk factors among women with adverse pregnancy outcomes. I'll read just a little bit more. Thrombotic risk factors differ significantly in white and Black women with adverse pregnancy outcomes. Such differences highlight the importance of considering race separately when assessing thrombotic risk factors for adverse pregnancy outcomes. So there is something to say about a lot of the genetic issues that we have, whether it is sickle cell, whether it's diabetes, whether it is hypertension. Those are some areas that we really need to have conversation about within your families. Listen, if you are blessed to still have the women, the mothers, the elders in your family among us, talk, have the conversation. I know they all come from different generations and they're not free in having that conversation, but it is imperative and it is important that you know. And I'll say this, even let's say, for example, even if right now your thought about having children is a hard no, get this information anyway. Write it down, record it, chronicle it, however you want to do it, but know your family's history and know your medical status. I'm sorry, it is literally a matter of life and death. So I want to end with this. I think I've given us a pretty good bit of information, and I had the information up, but I lost it. So I'm gonna put it back up. We've got to end with a call to action. What did we do? And I shared a lot of it at the beginning of this episode, just as I was going through the flow of information for our Black mommies. Number one, that is the conversation. That's the plan, the care plan of action. That's includes the emergency care plan. That is making sure that you have a village, that you have a village of people to help support and advocate, that you have a village of medical caregivers. Listen, trust your gut. You have a right to be heard. It is not normal for you to bear pain. It is not normal for you to bear pain outside of the natural pain threshold of labor and delivery. And then, of course, some of the changes that happen as you are pregnant. Outside of that, and even within that, pay attention to everything. I really implore you to do that. That's going to be one of my major takeaways for us in this episode and in this conversation, is that we do not dismiss. Black Boddess discusses that we do not dismiss. And then another call of action I'm going to say is to find you a support group. Start to look into villages that of mothers that are going through this journey, or those that can foster help and support for you while you're going through this. Look into communities who are all about action. I'm going to also the Health Momnibus Act. That is a major legislative how do I want to call it? It's not a legislative challenge, because there are some things that have been approved within that act, the Health Momnibus Act. I'll put this in the show notes, both in the audio and on the Well Life TV. This is something that I definitely would like for you to look into. Your own health, your mental health, your physical health, making sure that your body is in good pregnancy shape. I'm not talking about skinny versus fat. If you know me, you already know the type of messaging that I give. I'm not talking about skinny versus fat, but I am talking about your blood pressure. I am talking about your cholesterol. I am talking about the way that you live, your lifestyle, your mobility, the way you eat, and making sure that you are hydrated. Are you in need of supplements, which tends to happen sometimes with moms who are pregnant? They become deficient in some areas due to various reasons. Sometimes the baby is greedy and the baby is taking all of it. You got to get some extra vitamins and minerals. Whatever it is that you need to do, I'll end with this. Your call to action starts before pregnancy. Just like you will have a lot of OBs let you know, to inform you that you can take prenatals before pregnancy. And like you will hear a lot of providers and practitioners, particularly in my space, in the holistic and naturopathic and functional medicine space, will tell you that it is absolutely normal and encouraged for you to take prenatal vitamins before actually conceiving. So to me, that's just like the walk of faith, how we do things and we see it internally or spiritually before it is manifested. Listen, your call to action is before conception. So we want to honor this beautiful young lady. We want to make sure that we are sending our prayers to her family, and that we are holding each other close. We're holding each other near and dear. We're lifting each other up. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my sister's keeper? Yes, I am. This has been your well woman, practitioner LaShanna Moore, thanking you for listening and thanking you for joining me and encouraging you, as always, to be well and to be whole. Until the next time.